Warning. The following webcast may not be suitable for all audiences. This program may contain content that offends whiny idiots who have giant sticks up their asses. So either stop watching now and run to your safe space, or grow the fuck up. For those of you who will continue to watch, please, enjoy the show.
Oh, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, do you feel safe now? Let me do the show with the mask on the whole time. Because the last time you guys saw me on the air, these weren't required out in public anymore. Welcome back to the FreakChild Experience right here on KFRK Digital Radio, KFRKDenver.com. We're broadcasting live on Facebook on our Facebook page, facebook.com/FreakChildRadio. Also over live on Facebook. Yeah, I just said that, dipshit. Over on YouTube, on the YouTube channel as well. So, we're back. All the streaming software decided to work properly tonight. We had a couple of hiccups getting started here this evening, but everything looks to be back in order. I'm probably not back in order yet, though. It's been almost 2 months since the last time we did a show, but we had to take the summer hiatus, and then we were supposed to be back last week, and guess what? All hell went breaking loose, even on the internet. Thank you, writers, for all of that. But we're back. I'm back. How are you feeling? Are you feeling good? You should be feeling good. Or maybe you're feeling like crap. I mean, the whole goddamn state of Colorado's on fire right now. It's crazy out there, folks. But welcome back to the FreakChild Experience. www.freakchildradio.com, and check out our home broadcasting base, KFRKDenver.com. All right. Yeah, we don't want to get into that too much more, do we? Yeah, so that's good. Anyway, everybody, welcome back. The FreakChild Experience is back right here on KFRK Digital Radio, Facebook, YouTube. We're also live on the Freedom Revolution Networks at freedomrevolutionnetwork.com. So there's some exciting stuff that's going to be happening over there as well. So we also simulcast over there as well. So we're all over the place. And then a couple of other people or places or networks, whatever you want to call them, they rebroadcast the show as well. So we're all over the place. As it was back in July, we found out that we are now broadcast in 35 countries, or, well, watched and listened to in 35 different countries around the world. So thank you to all you that apparently speak English all over the world. It is kind of a universal language all over the place, but when you got gibberish coming out of my mouth, I don't know if you understand any of it. They're just like, hey, there's that dumb American again. He's got conspiracy theories that are just crap. So, speaking of conspiracy theories, we've got more COVID crap for you coming up on this evening's show. You have to pardon me, due to the horrible air quality here in the Denver metro, Colorado area. Like I said, half of our state is on fire right now. My eyes are burning because I was just outside again. Literally, the sky is partly cloudy all day long, and it's not even actual clouds. It's all because of the smoke from the fires. We're getting smoke from the California fires as well. Holy crap, you want to talk about horrible air. It is awful out there. My allergies have been going nuts. So pardon the fact that I sound like a cokehead through the show like this. I do blow my nose once in a while, but we'll get into a little bit of that story and about how absolutely awful it is. By the way, for the locals here in Brayton, I think they're moving the train finally. A rail apparently snapped somewhere along the main rail line here, and the train had to stop. They had to work on the rail. The train was blocking the whole damn town in half, pretty much. So right before we came on air, I was outside having a cigarette, and it looks like they got the train moving. So you're not going to be cut off from the rest of the world. Don't worry. They're not going to... I know it probably seemed like they're just trying to keep you all locked in town, but it's all right. Also, we do have the comments. We do check in on the comments here on the Facebook page and the YouTube page from time to time. We will be opening the phone lines back up here shortly, too. That was kind of what was giving us a hiccup there as we were getting into everything. It looks like our phone lines are going to be back open just fine as usual, so that's a good thing as well. We'll give you that phone line if you guys want to call in. We've got something new and exciting also going on tonight that we're going to try. I'm going to give you guys some links, probably over on the Facebook page. You can dial straight into the broadcasting switcher, and we can put you guys live, camera-wise, on air in one of the many little slots that we have for cameras. I'm not sure where that is. I think it's here. Oh, yeah, see? So you can just join me, and you can be, no, this way. You guys can be right over there, and I'll be right here. So there you go. We got that going on tonight as well, so that could be fairly exciting, or it could just be fairly stupid, and I'll just probably talk to myself throughout the entire show as I usually do. But anyway, we do check in on the comments on Facebook and YouTube from time to time during the show. So anyway, thank you, Justin. Glad to be back. Feels good to be back. My heart was racing before the start of the show because it's been a while. Never always too sure of how everything's gonna feel, shall we say. So there we go. KFRKDenver.com is our broadcasting home. Brighton's original digital streaming, whatever the hell. KFRKDenver.com. Brighton's original KFRK something. I see, I'm completely out of it. So we got that. The show page is www.freakchildradio.com. Facebook is facebook.com/freakchildradio, which is, I believe, right here. Yes, there it is. You can also follow us on Twitter. I have to scoot over here so I don't get my face cut off again. See, I'm really out of practice, guys. We're on Twitter, twitter.com /FreakChild Show or @FreakChild Show, facebook.com /FreakChild Radio. is right there. Also, if you would really like to, not that anybody does, you guys can support us on Patreon. We're trying to get that going, but there is a Patreon page for the show to raise some money. So if you want to check that out, that's over at patreon.com. What is it? FreakChild Experience. So check that out and throw us a few bucks, and we'll throw you something really awesome and cool, which is, believe it or not, the official FreakChild Experience coffee mug, which you can also buy on the website, freakchildradio.com. We have these available for everybody. It's just a little something to support the show, give you some, I don't know, what would you call that? A coffee cup that you could throw up into while you watch the show. Whatever you want to do with it is cool, but it is, and actually I've got mine right here filled with coffee, and see that it's not one of those make-believe things. We actually have them already made. So my microphone is going limp. It's not very excited tonight, as you can see. I tried to fluff it up as best as I could before the show. It just isn't happy to see me tonight. I'm overworking it already, apparently. So, yeah, anyway, and once again, pardon me for having to drink water and everything during the middle of the show. Like I said, the air quality is absolute shit out there, so that's that. Colorado is officially completely on fire, just about as bad as California. So there you go. Let's see. We did those obligatory things. Is there any other obligatory crap we have to do tonight? I don't think so. That's the normal. Oh, geez. I haven't. Hi. This is my face being cut off. You guys couldn't even see me. The graphic didn't go away. Sorry. See, this is why they tune in other countries, is because, well, they say, oh, look at this guy. He's screwing it up big time. Anyway, had a huge argument last night, for those of you that actually got to see it, text argument having to do with the rioting that's continuing to go on. One of our subjects for tonight. One of the things we do want to talk about that we've kind of not been able to get to, though, Facebook's censorship. Here's the thing, is they're throwing people in Facebook jail constantly for comments that people are making. I was already given a strike that's going to sit for about a year, apparently, because I called Skin Boy a faggot ass, which is his name, is what I called him in the Nonviolent Mad movie. It was a line, and I've called him that forever. It's always been an ongoing thing, but because I said that, their little bots picked up on that and almost threw me in Facebook jail because of a comment of a name that I have called him for years. Also today I saw a lot of really stupid shit that's getting knocked for false information. That's satire. A lot of satire stuff is getting knocked for being false information from independent fact checkers, is what they keep claiming. Well, I found out exactly who the independent fact checkers are and how it all actually works. There's no such thing as independent fact checkers out there. They're bots. It's all bots. So if it doesn't go with their status quo on Facebook, you're probably going to get nailed. I got more information on that coming up here shortly. We are going to, of course, have to talk about the Black Lives Matter movement, the fact that all the sports associations, shall we say, are really jumping on board with this. We need to discuss the rioting going on now thanks to the new Jacob Blake shooting that just happened. More rioting now in Wisconsin now. So we've got it in Minnesota. Now it's up in Wisconsin. I think they're all just getting really afraid it's going to get cold soon. But that's my theory. And here's the thing. Is the rioting really going to help? And I'm going to tell you guys exactly why it's not going to help you one goddamn bit if you guys continue to go out there and riot. Do something more constructive, all right? And I'll tell you more about that. Hopefully, somebody will pick up on this and get somebody's head straight, but I highly doubt it. I'm not that big of a deal yet, or never will be. And, of course, we got more COVID crap for you. it's getting kind of out of hand still. I think a lot of people are really getting sick and tired of being mandated to do this and do that, and we still can't go. I mean, hell, you guys, you still can't go play poker up in Blackhawk at any of the casinos. I don't know what Vegas is doing. I haven't even looked to see if Vegas opened up any of their poker shit. I know the casinos are open and you can play slot machines, but as far as all the table games, they're like, oh no, you guys can't touch stuff. What, Jesus Christ. Everybody's touching shit anyway, so what does it matter? But yeah, this has got to stop, number one. Number two, I think I've got a good theory about what's going to happen in the coming months, because the numbers are going down, but all of a sudden we've got other things that are starting to spike up. And I'll tell you more about that here shortly as we get into the COVID. Because, God, we've been beating that to death, I know, but wow. There's a lot of you still out there that are just like, oh, yes, I got to be safe. I mean, I literally see people walking down the street like this with their goddamn masks on, right? They're walking by themselves, nobody near them, and they still got their goddamn masks on. Stop it. Just stop it. And then this one. I love this one. This is always a good one, too. Or they wear it like this. Have you seen the people wearing them like this? Anyway, so let me, yeah, well, I don't want to get too involved with that, but yeah, it's crazy. So, anyway, what else do we got? That's about it as far as opening up the show again. And then we'll let you guys come in and do some shout-outs on the phone lines when we open up the phone lines here in about 10 minutes or so. We'll get that rolling as well. But first off, let's talk about the Facebook censorship and Facebook jail and all that other crap. Here's the thing, is that a lot of people are kind of thinking this, and I'm thinking it a little bit, but not too much. Does Facebook really have the right to shut you down if they don't like what you say? Can they censor you? Are you allowed to have a freedom of speech on Facebook? Are they, I mean, considering it's a public platform, but then again, it's privately owned. Well, sort of privately owned. Remember, Facebook is publicly traded now. Remember, they did release stock on that, a few years ago. But you got to remember, Facebook is owned by a huge company that owns almost all the other social networks. The only one they don't own yet is Twitter, because remember, Facebook, I don't know if Facebook ever closed the deal on Snapchat, but Facebook was going to own Snapchat. Facebook owns Instagram. Okay, so you got to remember that when you're posting on Instagram, for people out there that are Instagram people and you're like, I hate Facebook, well, just remember that Instagram is Facebook. It's just pictures. So that's the difference. It's just pictures on Instagram for you guys. It's still Facebook. I guess the good thing is you can't. They can't really censor your speech there if you're just showing pictures. But going back to Facebook, they keep claiming that these independent fact checkers are checking all these facts about whatever people post, especially when it comes to political posts or especially weather events even. It's just, it's kind of gotten out of hand. But the thing is, Facebook is controlling what is being put out there for their own personal interests. And this is the story that I'm about to read you, is that Facebook has repeatedly overruled its own fact checkers in order to help conservative pages avoid punishment for spreading misinformation. And this has been proven. There are leaked documents that have been reported by NBC, which found evidence that employees regularly intervene in the company's fact-checking process to avoid the PR risk associated with punishing high-profile conservatives. Which means if you're a conservative out there, which there's quite a few, and believe it or not, I've seen it because I'm friends with a lot of these people who are also in broadcasting, but they have completely conflicting views of what I have, but we're still friends. We don't beat the shit out of each other and crap, but Facebook is censoring only certain kind of crap. And especially when all the posts from the doctors talking about the COVID-19 treatments and things like that they kept putting people on ventilators and it wasn't working and they shouldn't be doing it and all that. I don't know if you all remember that. And then what was that one documentary that they kept trying to say was full of misinformation, and it's like, no, it was all opinionated from actual doctors who were giving their test case, or not test cases, but what was that? Plandemic. That's the one it was. Plandemic, which was that this entire pandemic is actually been planned by the United States government and politicians and things like that to serve their own good, especially in an election year. I mean, let's remember back 2003. Remember SARS? Those of you that are old enough to remember the SARS thing that was going absolutely apeshit after 9/11? And everybody was freaking out about that, and it turned out it was nothing. Well, it wasn't nothing, but it wasn't something that was coming here. I mean, Jesus Christ, if I hear one more person talk about Ebola, what? There's one case of Ebola in the United States. What, now we're going to have an outbreak here? No. In the Congo, they've got an outbreak. Let's get that fact straight, okay? But anyway, I digress. When Facebook's third-party fact-checkers mark something as false, the post is given less distribution in news feeds to make it harder for people to see. Pages that repeatedly share posts that are debunked by fact-checkers get strikes. How many of y'all have had that one? Quite a few of you, I'm sure. Facebook punishes pages that get too many strikes by downranking their content and blocking their ability to run ads. Guess who also just ran into that problem? This show. We had an ad running, and they pulled it down. They pulled it down because they went running through our page and watching some of the shows and think that because this is all opinionated and some of it is satire. Actually, we had one thing that was marked. We did Picture the News back on, I think it was the 2nd of July. We got knocked for that. They said this is false information. I said, no shit, Sherlock. It's satire. We're making up stories about random pictures, you idiots. But anyway, I mean, does Facebook have the right to do this? Kind of. I mean, if you're not necessarily spreading untruth, it should be okay, especially if it's satirical. Anyway, people who run popular pages with large followings are able to appeal fact-checking decisions. Yeah, and we weren't. And when conservatives who have criticized it have we lost a page here. Anyway, the list and descriptions of escalations leaked to NBC News show that Facebook employees in the misinformation escalations team, they actually have that, with direct oversight from company leadership, deleted strikes during the review process that were issued to some conservative partners for posting misinformation over the last 6 months. The discussions of the reviews showed that Facebook employees were worried that complaints about Facebook fact-checking could go public and fuel allegations that the social network was biased against conservatives. They're not biased against conservatives. They're biased for conservatives. And it's been this way almost ever since Trump got elected. Now, whether you're a Trumper or a non-Trumper or whatever you want to call yourselves, I don't really give a fuck. Okay, right now we're getting back into another election of the lesser of two evils. Do we keep this guy who's not doing a terrible job, no matter the fact that he never can shut his mouth correctly? But then again, at least I have something in common with him. I always babble on this show. But we've got that, or we've got dipshit Joe, who, unless he's got a teleprompter in front of him, he can't form a complete, logical, real thought to save his life. He has fucking dementia. All right? And now that we've gotten into this election, they're really policing everything you put out there, whether it's about Trump or Biden or Harris. There's not much. You know what's funny is that you don't hear much about Mike Pence out there. But then again, you never really heard. It hasn't been since Dan Quayle, really, that you really ever heard much about a vice president. But anyway, pages for Breitbart. Donald Trump Jr., Eric Trump, and the Gateway Pundit and Diamond and Silk have all gotten a pass under this process. We defer to third-party fact-checkers on a rating that a piece of content receives. When a fact-checker applies a rating, we apply a label and a demotion. But you don't. It's not independent fact-checkers. These things are getting nailed like this. You can't tell me that there's that many fact-checking people out there that personal people, you, the general public out there, you're the ones getting nailed for false information of things that you're posting. I mean, it's botted. It's all a computer process that gets it flagged and then pulls it down. It's not independent fact checkers who are doing this. It's not an actual person going, I wonder what that says. Oh, nope, that doesn't go. Okay, that's not correct. No, it's not like PolitiFact or something like that's doing all this. No, it's these guys that are like, oh no, we don't like that. That's not good. It's not good at all. Watch, this show will probably get muted because I'm trashing Facebook on the Facebook feed. I don't know. Yeah, they defer to third-party fact checkers, but that's crap. And you know that's crap. Because some of it isn't even about facts or anything. It's about an opinion, and people should be allowed to voice their opinion about something out there. I mean, in my opinion, that's how it should all work. But then again, I don't know. Justin says, in all the fact-checking fucks on Facebook. Oh, I don't know what that is in reference to, but yeah, I mean, it's gotten out of hand big time. I know like I said, on this show, we got nailed for Picture the News, which is satirical, made-up stories about pictures. Yeah, what was actually, I think we can bring that one picture up here real quick. This is the one that actually got nailed. And I wish I had that. You guys will have to look back to the original show, I think, because I don't have the script here in front of me anymore. Where is that picture? Oh, it was this one. And the story was that there wasn't enough milk for the cows in India or some shit. So the women weren't able to breastfeed fast enough, so they had to start breastfeeding the goats or something. I forget what the full story was, but it was something like that. This is what got us nailed, because it was labeled as incorrect and false news. No, it's called satire and bullshit is what it's called. I mean, yeah, it's not correct news. Yeah, in India, they're not really actually actually they really are feeding goats and shit with, I mean, there's the picture of it. Obviously it happens. But the rest of the story about why it happens, it was all made up. But, yeah, I mean, it's completely insane that we're now in a world where we're being controlled. Everybody's already on Facebook. Everybody's watching Facebook so much, and they're so worried about making sure that the correct information is out there that they're not even really making sure that the correct information is out there. So I don't know what you do. I guess what we need to do is go burn down 15 buildings and 17 cars, and because Facebook is taking away our rights of free speech. I mean, I don't really think they're taking away our rights of free speech, but I don't think it's correct for them to start policing information. People can, I mean, if it's a flat out, like years ago on YouTube, there was this guy, I forget his name. He was a white supremacist. He was trying to get everybody to believe that Canada, the United States, and Mexico were actually going to come under one currency called the Amero. And he had these coins made to make people believe it and shit like that. And people were starting to turn in their money and buy these Ameros, and it was a complete and utter scam. It was never a real thing, but this guy had people believing that. But as I've pointed out, especially with when we get back into COVID shit here, people believe too much. And so many of you will believe anything that they put out on a news channel or on Facebook or anything on the internet. You guys got to go out into the real world and go see what's going on out there. You can judge for yourself whether something's correct or incorrect. We don't really need independent fact checkers telling us that crap. But in all reality, it's kind of good to have them out there so that we know when misinformation is being spread. But are they abusing their powers? It's a good question. I think they are in a way. But yeah, I mean, you got to go out into the real world and see what's actually going on out there. I mean, like they kept saying about right at the beginning of the COVID, all hospitals are starting to overflow. And it's like, I was in 2 different hospitals during a lot of this time. And it's like, there's nobody here. The hospitals aren't getting overbooked or whatever. I was there. It wasn't that bad. I mean, waiting rooms all over all hospitals, and I mean, I even went to one here in Denver, and it was just like, there's 5 people here. It's everybody's believing way too much. You guys got to kind of wake it up a little bit, hopefully. So yeah, I don't know if you guys have got an opinion. We're going to open up the phone line here in just a minute. Probably throw out one of the 2 camera feeds for you guys if you guys want to jump in on the show here with me. Where is it? Oh yeah, see, we can put you right there next to me if you want, or not. It's all right. You do need to have headphones though. It would be really helpful, but it's not absolutely required. So anyway, KFRKDenver.com is our broadcasting home. We are KFRK Digital Radio, which is streaming radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All sorts of different shows and things on there. And as a matter of fact, the show is currently airing on there as well. So for those of you that are listening on KFRK Digital Radio, check us out on Facebook.com, Facebook.com/FreakChild Radio. Follow us on Twitter, Twitter.com/FreakChild Show. Or check out the Facebook page, the website for this show is FreakChildRadio.com. And don't forget to pick up your own little mug there, your FreakChild Experience coffee mug. You can order those online right there and support the show. My coffee's cold. Now I'm going to be sad. I'm going to cry. I think we need to take a break. Oh, yeah, we need to take a break. We'll get the phone lines open for you all here in just a second, and feel free to call in. Never mind, I'll let it tell you. I forgot what the number is already. 720-230-6363. That's what it is. KFRK Digital Radio, Facebook.com/FreakChild Radio, whatever. Yeah, we're out of practice, but we'll get it back. It's the first show back after the break, bro. The hiatus. We'll be back right after this.
They turned me loose in the nervous hospital. Said I was well.
Got an opinion? Call into the FreakChild Experience.
Numbers do you put in?
720-230-6363.
What? Chat around, man.
720-230-6363.
It's a bowel movement.
This is KFRKDB, The Freak.
Ba-da-ba-doo, ba-ba-da-boo. That was a quick break. I didn't even get a chance to go pee. I was too busy commenting. Look at me. I forgot how to go pee on a break. Now I really have to pee because I'm drinking my coffee out of my official FreakChild Experience coffee mug. Don't forget to get yours, freakchildradio.com. And I didn't even get a chance to blow this damn smoke shit out of my nose. Yeah, so Colorado is completely and utterly on fire. The Denver metro area, especially. As the sun goes down in the mountains, believe it or not, it's turning. For those of you that obviously don't live in Colorado, you wouldn't know this because you don't see it. The rest of us all see it every day. Even the moon is doing it as it goes down over the mountains. Red. Beat red. I mean, and the haze and smoke is so bad, you can actually stare right at the sun, and it doesn't hurt your eyes one bit. It's insane. It's like something out of a movie, like a science fiction movie. It's like, oh, there goes... It's almost like a Star Wars kind of thing. And then the moon, as it goes down, it starts to turn red when you can see it because the smoke clouds are so horrible. The other night, I was sitting out on the front porch having a cigarette, and cars were driving by, and the haze is so bad that, like, the headlight beams, it's like driving through fog. You could see the headlight beams as the cars were driving past. And to think, we're so worried about breathing in COVID, and here we are with all this other crap that we're breathing in from these fires. I thought about it, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ. We're all worried about all this other crap we're breathing in. I'm out here having a cigarette, and yet, here's something naturally occurring that I'm breathing in all the time with, not much I can do about it, but there, hey, wait, that's why I got a mask. I got a mask. It'll save me. Not only will it save me from COVID, this is going to save me from the smoke. Yeah, right. I still would like somebody to explain to me how exactly this is supposed to help a very itty-bitty, tiny viral organism from getting into your... I don't know. I got to quit trying to figure that one out. Oh, these masks are going to do so much good for you. Yeah, no, not really. But here, we'll get into the COVID a little bit. Here's an interesting thing about the whole COVID thing that's going on too with the masks. I'm starting to see a very big trend all over the place. And for those of you that are on Facebook, I'm sure you've seen these as well. Constant ads for face masks. For personalized, and we're not talking about, your friends are posting it and the buy, sell, and trade groups and crap like that. I mean, I'm talking about legitimate advertisements that are sponsored ads. It's kind of gotten silly that now they're making designer masks, believe it or not, as if it's going to be a long-term thing. Believe me, this is not going to be a long-term thing. To solve this entire thing, unfortunately, we're all going to have to catch it, if you haven't already. Didn't even know it. Some people have probably already gotten it and didn't even know it. I mean, like I've said before, I was really sick back in January, February, before this whole entire coronavirus thing even broke. And I had the exact symptoms. I had, I was sick. I was feverish. I had a loss of taste. It was like food didn't even taste like food or anything. It was just really weird. So I'm pretty sure I already have gotten coronavirus or COVID, whatever you want to call it. But guess what? Coronavirus is a common cold. This is just a little bit different strain of the common cold. So guess what? All this testing, by the way, that's going on, if you've got the common cold, you're going to test positive for coronavirus. Now, if you want to have them further test everything correctly, they need to test you for SARS-2. If they're testing you for SARS-2, that's what's actually the nasty shit. And not everybody's getting that one. See, and that's the thing that I think everybody's got to start getting through their heads a little bit. Just because you test positive for coronavirus doesn't mean you've tested positive for SARS-2. SARS-2 tests are the ones that you guys need to be making sure that you're getting if you think you've got COVID-19. So let's all remember that. But going on to all of this stuff that's going on. So Joe Biden made this whole announcement. I think that we need to make a national mandate for everybody in America has to wear masks. Of course, Trump said, well, all the states are doing their own thing, so shut the fuck up. But here's the thing, is that the numbers are starting to finally go down. Now remember, the numbers spiked at the very beginning of everything because, well, we were testing, right? And then we quarantined, and then all the numbers went down until about mid-July, when all of a sudden there was a spike in testing centers, especially here in Colorado. Right around the end of June, well, mid to end of June, all of a sudden, all these testing centers started popping up all over the place. The Walgreens, at Waterworld, the Pepsi Center, and people were lining up. And I shit you not, thousands of people in a line, blocking traffic in their cars, waiting to go get their coronavirus testing. Number one, were that many people having that many symptoms? Because if they were having those kind of symptoms, they were supposed to be at home. Now remember the whole stay-at-home order and safer at home and all that other crap. You know, only essential employees can go out and all that other shit. That's when the numbers were down because nobody was going out because nobody could go get tested. But the minute they started lifting that, that's when they brought in the testing centers. People were going to get tested and people were getting positive tests. Now, because you were getting positive testing, guess what? Then the number started to spike, and they're like, oh, it's because people are all getting together, and oh my God, and then now we've got a horrible, it's getting worse. No, the numbers are going to go up because the amount of testing went up. That's what happened. That's what's going on. And now the numbers are starting to go down, and they were starting to close down a lot of the testing sites. Guess what just started happening in Colorado all of a sudden? Testing sites started popping up all over the place again. Although I think people are getting a little bit more wise to it now. I think people are starting to smarten up a little bit. Because there was 20 tents or something at this new testing center. There's like 5 cars there. Not thousands. I mean, literal thousands were lined up at some of these other places. And that's when the big spike in positive cases came back. But if that many people were showing symptoms that they had to go get tested, no, they weren't showing signs that they had to get, and they went to go get tested. They were so goddamn afraid that they might have it, they wanted to go get tested. And guess what? You've tested positive for coronavirus. You have the antibody, but we're still going to mark you as a positive case. Did you know that? It would be interesting if we could find a way to get them to break it down of how many positive cases are actually positives for the antibodies, because they're counting those as positive cases as well. And we've said this before. I mean, there was a guy that was in a motorcycle accident who tested positive for COVID-19. He died, but they tested him for COVID. He had the coronavirus. He had no symptoms or anything like that, but he died in a motorcycle wreck, and his cause of death was coronavirus. And even there are the state of Illinois medical people, whatever you want to call it, had a news conference, and they stated specifically, even if it was an underlying cause of something else that killed you, guess what? If you tested positive for COVID-19, they're still going to rule you as a COVID-19 death. So it doesn't matter what these numbers are. These are fearful numbers that they're giving to you. Okay? And just today, Anderson Cooper, that dipshit. That guy drives me nuts. So once again, they're saying that there's a huge rise and spike in numbers. It's 53% higher than it was a week ago. Well, yeah. It's because it went from 5 cases to 7, or whatever the fuck it was. They, once again, have to make it sound bigger than it really is, and what they did was they gave you the percentage, which is going to sound bigger because the ratio is going to sound bigger. It's just like when we get into the Black Lives Matter thing about, we've done this before on another show, but because we have this new one, we're going to be talking about that a little bit again. they want to show you the percentage, but if you actually look at the numbers as opposed to the ratios, they're going to give you the ratio number because it's a bigger number that way and it's more impactful. But when you actually break it down, it's not that bad. It's not as big as you really think it is. I mean, if you say you have 100 or 110% spike, but that's because you had 2 people that were sick and now you've got 4, well, yeah, that's your 100% rise right there. You went from 2 to 4. Boom. Or something like that. Or is that the 50%? I don't know. I'm not doing math tonight. My brain is already fried from trying to get the show back on the air. But testing sites are still now starting to pop up all over the place because the numbers are going down. And I'm telling you, the government wants the numbers to go up because they need to keep wanting you to think that they've got it under control, and or they're brainwashing you to think this is going to save you from a deadly virus. This. And somebody gave me an argument the other day. Well, when you go into an operating room, that's what they wear when they're operating on you. No, actually, they kind of have face shields most of the time. I mean, even when my son was born, the doctors and nurses had face shields. When Jules had the tumor baby removed, we have a picture of that one. The doctor had a full face shield on. So that's what they actually wear, not just this. I hate to break that little news to you. And that's more about bloodborne pathogens than it is about viral infections. I mean, you get a bloodborne pathogen on you, and that's pretty nasty. This ain't going to save you from a bloodborne pathogen. I'm going to tell you that too, because it's fabric. It's going to leak right through. But it's the same thing with this virus. They've already proven how small the damn thing is, that it's only one type of face mask respirator thing that's even going to stop you from breathing it in, and that's the N95 mask, which they're trying to now, I guess, turn these into N95 filtration or something like that. But the new masks that even are, they're now making these plastic face shield, like plexiglass plastic, so that now you can start seeing people's faces, because that's the biggest thing. People you don't understand. You don't see people's reactions and facial expressions with these on. This is a mind control device, because you can't smile at people. You can't interact with people with facial expressions with these on. That's why they are requiring you to have these on. They don't want people interacting like they normally would. And the reason they don't want that is because it's an election year. Now, which side of it, who's actually, in charge of all this? Man, I got to start stroking you a little more. He keeps falling down on me. Poor little guy. I'm just trying to excite you. But look at the expression on my face. Now you can see the expression on my face. With that mask on, you guys couldn't see the expression on my face. When you walk past people in the stores, you can't see the expressions on their face. So you don't know, is this guy pissed? Is he mad? Is he happy? Is he sad? Is he glad? I don't know. And that's all part of human interaction, is the facial expression. You cut that off, and all you see are eyes. You don't know if somebody's doing anything. And that's why this, to me, is still part of a government, not conspiracy, but it's part of a government ploy to keep everybody under wraps, I guess, basically. Think about it, is that in Middle Eastern countries, women with the, what do they call it, I always forget. But, women have to wear the veil over their face and all that. That's because men control those countries. Men are controlling those women because they don't want the women, they claim that we don't want their faces seen by the other men and blah, 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 and it's some religious shit and all this other crap. No, it's a mind control device. It's a way to control something. Okay? And this is not going to save you from a goddamn deadly virus, especially as deadly as it supposedly is. This coronavirus, SARS-2, will kill people. So does the flu. People get the flu all the time. People get flu shots all the time. People who get flu shots still get the flu and still die. It happens. It's part of the world we live in. But because we had something a little bit new, they're using it to their advantage, to keep you afraid, to make you think that they're going to save you. Justin says it's the Democrats' narrative to make it seem like it's getting worse again. And it's true. I do believe that partly that the Democrats are probably got something to do with this. I never did really pull up any stats on that to find out how many states have put in mandatory face masks rules, and how many of those states have Democrat or Republican governors. That would be your absolute truth teller right there as to who could be really running the entire narrative. But yeah, testing sites are going up all over the place again. So we may start seeing a rise in or a spike in COVID cases again all of a sudden. But don't forget this, by the way. Numbers that are being reported today, those are tests that are about 10 to 14 days old, because it takes 10 to 14 days to get the results. So it's not like a whole bunch of people got tested today and 168 people all tested positive. No, it wasn't today. That was like 10 days ago, almost 2 weeks ago, okay? That's when those results came back. The face mask mandate, I don't think really is causing any help, because the numbers were still going up when we had the mandate put in. But now, once people quit going and getting tested, I mean, here's the thing. In the Rio Grande Valley, by the way, for the Valley listeners and watchers out there, don't forget this one. There was a spike in cases in the valley because the Mexican nationals were coming across the border to get treated for whatever fucking reason. So there was a spike in the valley for number of cases of COVID because people that weren't citizens of the United States or in the Rio Grande Valley or Hidalgo County specifically, there was a spike because of all these Mexican nationals coming across the border and testing positive. But you also got to remember that the numbers definitely were not correct there, or they couldn't have been, because they were starting to creep up on more people testing positive than could possibly have tested positive, because they were at damn near almost a 50% of the general population there. Because there's only like 1.5 million people in the entire Rio Grande Valley, from Brownsville all the way down to McAllen. Rio Grande City, I think, even counts as part of that still. But that's 1.5 million people, and they were trying to come up with like hundreds of thousands of cases, and it's like, no, that's bullshit. That's impossible. There's no way. So even that was proof right there that some government areas are fudging the numbers, and they're bullshitting you all through that. And that's a real fact. It's a real damn fact, I guess, if you can say that, or something. I don't know. By the way, for those of you in Colorado, I hope your air conditioning is working, because guess what?
It's hot out here.
It's hot out there, man. I went outside for a cigarette this morning. Jesus, I thought my whole entire body was just gonna melt away. Between the heat and the smoke, it's like, good God, did I catch on fire? I can smell it. And you can smell it. It smells like a campfire outside every once in a while, especially in the evenings and early mornings. Man, it smells like there's literally, you're in the forest at a campfire. That's how bad the smoke from the fires is just outside of Denver. Well, it's not just outside of Denver, but I mean, whole goddamn state's on fire. Seriously. Anyway, phone lines are open, 720-230-6363. We've got the vMix call lines in there, so you can dial straight into the broadcast software, and we can bring you into the show if you want to do that way as well. That's always a whatever you want to call it, an option for you if you have something to voice out. Also, if you got any shout outs, you can always bring those in at 720-230-6363. If you just want to say, hi guys, I'm calling in from the other line. And am I on the air? Yes, you're on the air. So there you go. Going to take that second break. It is 8 o'clock already. We will get you guys rolling, let you know about a couple of the other networks we're on. We're on TuneIn, we're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on Freedom Revolution Networks, freedomrevolutionnetworks.com, KFRK Digital Radio, and FreakChildRadio.com. And then when we come back, we'll get into the nasty, because I know everybody's pretty, what do you want to say, up in arms, shall we say, about yet another shooting of a black man by a cop. Luckily, at this point, he hasn't died. I haven't seen any new updates on him yet, other than he's paralyzed from the waist down. But we'll get into that here briefly, because that's all that was on the news this morning. Again, was that, and really got to get you guys understanding why rioting is not going to help anything. All right. So we'll get into that when we come back. KFRK Digital Radio, KFRKDenver.com, FreakChildRadio.com. Check us out on Facebook. We'll be right back. Yes. Ba-da-ba-doo, da-doo-doo-doo. 720-230-6363. We're back right here on FreakChild Experience. Streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, Freedom Revolution Networks. We're on our website, www.freakchildradio.com. And also for all of our listeners out there on KFRK Digital Radio, we're on KFRKDenver.com, streaming live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, all sorts of different really weird mix of everything. It is an original mix station. Everything from old-time radio to some of today's hits, independent hits, rock, metal, 50s, 70s, you name it, it pretty much can play on there. Country music, there's a Saturday morning country show that's dedicated, I think, 3 hours straight of just nothing but pretty much classic country. So there you go. Check that out and all that. Don't forget to like our Facebook page, facebook.com/FreakChildRadio. Like the page, keep up to date. Now that we're kind of getting back into the swing of things, we're still working on the possibility of doing FreakChild's Treasure this year. Hopefully sometime either late October, early November. It kind of depends on what goes on with COVID as to what kind of restrictions will still be in place. Hopefully not too much, considering it's basically just a citywide scavenger hunt. And there's a wonderful cash prize at the end. So it'll be interesting. We'll tell you more about that coming up another day, another time, or whatever. Speaking of politics, by the way, we do also want to remind everybody to mark their calendars. And we're still trying to put together a good panel for this, but this is going to be fun. Once again, we are covering the election. November 4th, November 3rd, 2020. That is election night this year. FreakStation 2020, we're covering the election. We're going to get on the air right about at 7 o'clock when the polls start closing across the nation, starting off with the East Coast. That's why we come on at 7. We'll see what goes on between Creepy Joe and Dipshit Donald. We'll see what happens, but mark your calendars. It's a good time. We stay live until there's a decision. We did 2016. We called it long before anybody else did. That Donald Trump was the president. You can actually check that out. I think that's still on the YouTube channel. So you guys can see how we covered that one 4 years ago. It only took us 2 hours, I think, 2.5 hours of being on air before we already knew who our president was. It was pretty scary that it went that quick. But Crooked Hillary lost her ass, sort of. Well, not really. It was a pretty close election. A lot of conspiracy in there about who did what, but then look at where it all landed us. Everybody was trying to do whatever they could to get Donald Trump out of office to begin with. Remember, we had the Brett Kavanaugh thing. We had the tax evasion or tax document thing going on, which is still going on, whether or not he'll be brought up on Trump will be brought up on charges on that. What else do we have? Then we had the impeachment. I mean, it was just one thing after another of, and the thing is that the Kavanaugh thing, that really showed exactly how bad the Democrats just didn't want anything to happen, because it just, well, what do you know about this? Well, I wasn't there. I don't remember ever being there. Oh, well, then how do you know what she, 600 thoughts going through there. And then remember the impeachment trials and all that crap. Holy moly. Lord have mercy on us all this time. We'll see what happens. But yeah, November 3rd, make sure to get on to KFRKDenver.com and like the Facebook page as well, because we'll be putting up information on that as well. Reminders and all that for you all to kind of tune in and watch us, whoever us will be. I'm sure Skinboy will well, I think Skinboy is going to be joining us on that one, quite possibly. So that's always going to be a fun time. We'll see who else wants to join in on that on FreakStation 2020. So yeah, it's that time of year, or it's that year of the time or something. I'll have to write a new song for that. All right, boys and girls, ladies and gentlemen, we got to get nasty now. So here's the thing. We got Black Lives Matter going on out there. We got Antifa, who just continually just doesn't want to give up and keeps getting their asses kicked no matter where they show up. We've got riots all over the place. So not only is Colorado on fire, now Minnesota's on fire. Well, Minneapolis specifically was on fire. Now we've got Wisconsin is going up in smoke. What else did we have? Portland was going absolutely ape shit. I mean, we've got all this stuff going on with all this Black Lives Matter stuff. Look, here's the thing. Let's go first off to the sports teams and the sports associations and all this. I understand that everybody wants equality. I don't really think there's that much inequality. There's some, but you got to remember, it's not just black people that are unequal. There's a lot of people that are unequal depending on their race, their sex, their sexual orientation. I mean, there are so many different things that have inequality in here. It's not just black people, okay? And I'm sorry, I don't mean it to sound the way that it comes out when I say the black people, but here's the thing, is that for so many years there, well, we don't want to be called black anymore. We want to be called African Americans. Okay, so it was then, at one point, you know, it was faux pas to be calling somebody, oh, it's this black gentleman over here. No, it's this African American gentleman over here that would like to have a seat at this table. Thank you. You know, I mean, why do we have to associate somebody? Oh, this Chinese guy over here. No, he's Japanese. Well, what about the Korean over there? I don't know. He looks more like a Mexican. Hey, what about that black guy? No, he's Puerto Rican. I mean, shit like that happens. I mean, there's this guy I know, his name's Israel, and he's actually Puerto Rican. He's very dark-skinned, and he looks black. People think he's black, but he's not. He's Hispanic. He's Puerto Rican. You know, it's really sad that, you know, we're still judging skin color and associating this with that and this with that. But Black Lives Matter. Yes, Black lives do matter. Black lives do seem to get more media attention when the police create these deaths, okay? We had George Floyd, which, by the way, I urge everybody, please, before you guys get back up in arms about George Floyd, watch the damn full body cam footage. They have the entire thing from start, pretty much to finish, of the George Floyd incident of an officer that was there. George Floyd was so fucked up on something. I think they found out he was fucked up on fentanyl. I mean, the dude was going nuts. And long before he was ever put to the ground, he was already having trouble breathing, which meant he couldn't breathe because he was having a goddamn heart attack. All right? Which was virtually what his cause of death was if you read the death certificates and look at all of what was going on. Did the officers probably need a better way to hold him down? Yeah, they probably don't need to be putting their knees on somebody's neck. But he was not asphyxiated by the knee on the back of the neck. Okay? He died because he was fucked up on fentanyl and was having a heart attack. And he was he was absolutely apeshit nuts. And the entire reason that the call happened, by the way, was because he was passing off counterfeit money to a convenience store, I believe it was. All right? So let's not forget, the dude was a criminal. He was a drug addict, okay? I mean, does that give the police an excuse to have murdered him? No. But I think if you really watch and look at all of the footage of what was going on, his I can't breathe and everything had nothing to do with what the officers were doing to him. But you guys can judge for yourselves. I'm just giving you my opinion. But now we have, a couple days ago, Jake Blake. It's an interesting thing. I have not seen all of the full footage, but apparently, according to the stories, is that Jacob Blake was not part of a domestic dispute. He was actually supposedly trying to break up this dispute. Now, we've talked about this on this show, especially what happened when I was in Garden City, Kansas, when police stormed my hotel room when Big Dog Carter was there. They charged him long before they came to me. So believe me, I do see it. I do recognize that it is there. It's a mindset, and I think it has more to do with demographics of how police end up associating blacks from whites, from Asians, from Mexicans, due to whatever happens in that city generally. If most of the black people are behaving themselves, they're probably going to treat them all just as equal as everybody else. But if you've got, like, especially in the Lowry area here in Denver at the old Lowry Air Force Base, and Aurora even, I mean, number one, it is a predominantly African-American demographic there, but it's a predominantly crime-committing African-American demographic. And so the police are going to treat them a little bit more, shall we say, hostile, or maybe a little bit more on edge than they normally would in any other part of any other city. Like, go to Arvada, for instance. You're probably going to have a different aspect there because you've got, let's say, a more behaving African-American demographic there, okay? You don't have a bunch of the riffraff types hanging out in Arvada. You have them all hanging out in Aurora and Lowry and on Colfax and shit like that. But then again, you got to remember, a lot of white people who are, shall we say, the what was that? Remember the Occupy movement? Is that still a thing? I don't think it is anymore. The Occupy Wall Street group and all that, and that was predominantly white people. They were all starting to be, especially if you were a white person hanging out in the park and you were young, like in your mid-20s or something, like a millennial-ish, you were going to get picked on by the cops too. Now, granted, they probably weren't going to shoot you, but we've got to remember that you've got to look at the demographic as to how the police are going to react. Now, do we need some police reform? Yes, because here's the thing, and you got to remember, not all cops are these few that you see in the media. I mean, you think about the handful of incidents that we've had, and think about how many cops there actually are. It's almost like COVID. We've got 5 million cases, only 100 and something deaths. It's like a 0.06%, right? You kind of got the same thing with police. Not all cops react like these cops do. These cops need more training, okay? Obviously, the George Floyd incident has definitely caused a lot of reform in keep putting a suspect in custody, shall we say, or having to detain them some way, somehow, of more, shall we say, safer approach to make sure that there's no injuries. And, you've got to remember that. But it doesn't mean that all cops are bad. Because here's the thing that you all have to remember, especially when we get into this rioting thing here in a second. You've got to remember one important thing. When your shit gets fucking broken into or shit gets stolen from you, who are you going to call? Who are you going to call? You want to defund the police? Fine, defund the police. The police are just going to walk off the job. Then who do you call? 911. Some guy just robbed my purse. Well, I'm sorry, but the police department is closed because you didn't give us any money. That's a little far-fetched on that, but that's the thinking you've got to remember when you've got these people out here that want to defund the police and get rid of the. Well, then what do you got? Well, then you're going to have what? The National Guard? That's where half of your problem is with a lot of police officers. My opinion is you got a lot of them coming back from Afghanistan. They got into law enforcement, and when they got into law enforcement, they still had that military mindset. Okay? And that's where they needed to do a little reprogramming with a lot of these officers. okay? And that's where you get a lot of these guys that get very violent and just, oh, it's the criminal, it's the bad guy. All's fair in war, but not when you're on a police force. You got to remember that. So think about that for just a little bit and chew on that for that. 720-230-6363. The one thing, though, is our rioters out there, and I've been commenting on this for a couple of weeks, and then I made a comment about it last night again too, and that started a little bit of a Facebook war. Rioting is not going to solve a goddamn thing. And here's what I don't get. And I honestly believe that a lot of the rioting is actually being orchestrated by specific groups. I think somebody's trying to incite the riots to begin with, and then people just start rioting, thinking that they've got a cause that they're going to actually do something with, okay? So let's take one instance of when teams win, like the Stanley Cup, or you get the Super Bowl champions. Okay, you get riots in the streets of these towns that win. They win, so then they start celebrating in the streets, and then they start rioting. I mean, it happened here in Denver with both Stanley Cups. It happened with the Broncos. People are stupid, and somebody incites these riots to happen. Now, when the sports teams win and the riots happen, it's just for a couple of hours over one night generally, and it's not really terrible, but businesses do have insurance against forced things like that. This kind of shit, though, is not correct. This is a bunch of people who want to stand up for a cause and say, "Oh, but we're being looked at as being completely bad people and blah blah." Well, if you're going out there and you're blowing shit up because of a news story about something that A, had nothing to do with you to begin with, okay? B, your beef is with the police department or those specific two cops. Your beef is not with Larry Joe Moe over there running the local grocery store. Now you've destroyed his entire livelihood and he had nothing to do with it. What have you done? We're going to make a change by rioting Larry Mojo's shit. Right. Destroy his livelihood. Put him out of business. Sounds like a good idea. Let's do that. Because he's to blame, right? No, you've just destroyed some man's life that had nothing to do with any of it. It was just like the George Floyd riots where dudes were beating the shit out of a little white woman who owned a little convenience store in a corner. What was the point of that? There's no point in that. All you're doing is fueling the reason why people will look at you as though, well, look at you. All you want to do is break the law. You don't want to change the law. You don't want to help make things better. You want to make things worse. Rioting solves nothing. You want to riot at the police station. But just remember, if you riot at the police station, and let's say you kill all cops, I've seen a couple of those ones out there. Those are some of your extremists out there. Yeah, you do that, then when you're in trouble, who are you going to call? We just discussed this. You're going to call the police department. The police department's not going to come. You know why? You just screwed them over. But now you're going to just, and the same thing happened in Ferguson. Remember that one? That's where some of the first stuff happened. I mean, we can realistically say that Rodney King riots was kind of the OG, shall we say, of rioting regarding black inequality or something like that. But even in Ferguson, remember that one? They destroyed their entire town over one guy, one cop, and they destroyed their entire town. Now, you also need to also remember this. We're in the middle of this COVID pandemic, all right? The COVID pandemic is already screwing small businesses. The only the only businesses that are surviving are the large, giant corporations. Amazon's killing it, of course, because people couldn't go buy shit from the store. They were all closed, so people were just having it delivered to their house through Amazon. But all these small little businesses that are having enough trouble trying to stay open, you go destroy their shit, they're going to have to close. Now you, the rioters, are responsible for the economic downfall of your towns, and it will happen. I promise you. You guys don't knock it off, it's going to happen. And your town is going to become in such an economic crisis because there's no businesses open because you destroyed them, or they had to be shut down because of COVID, or a mixture of both. So think about that. Then the only thing you got in town is a fucking Walmart and the Kroger or the Piggly Wiggly or whatever it is. And then you got your major chain restaurants, which, I mean, look at Village Inn. They're shutting shit down because they couldn't survive. And then you've got, your mom and pop places or your local businesses that, your barbershops even. I mean, think about this. That seems to be the big thing lately, especially with the Hispanic community. And we all know that the African-American community has the whole barbershop thing where you go to hang out at the barbershop and you get your hair cut for 3 hours or whatever. But you destroy that barbershop. Now you don't have a barbershop to go to. Now you got to go down to Supercuts. And they're just going to be like, yeah, what do you want? Okay, in and out. Bzz. There you go. Rioting is just going to cause economic downfall for these cities and these towns. If it continues, especially Minneapolis is going to be fucked come probably the first quarter of next year, with the amount of damage that costs money, by the way, to rebuild. That costs money. And I think they're coming up on $500 million worth of damage. I mean, hurricanes haven't even caused some of the same amount of monetary damage as all of this rioting has. But you've got all that money that has to be spent on rebuilding shit. And who pays out most of that money to begin with? Well, guess what? It's insurance companies. So if you've got insurance, guess who's that's going to get pushed on to? Homeowners insurance is going to start to go up because the insurance companies had to pay to these businesses to get them back to even. Okay? So then you're going to complain that insurance rates are too high. Well, if you're one of the rioters, this was your goddamn fault because now you caused all this damage that caused the insurance companies to have to raise rates because they had to pay out so much money to the people that you rioted against, including the city. All you're doing is causing an economic downfall from hell. I mean, think about Ferguson. They'll never come back to what they ever were. And now every town that's having these riots, I mean, they're rioting in Denver even. And it's like, nothing's going on here, so what the fuck are you pissed off at our police department for? They didn't do that. It just doesn't make any sense. You see all this stuff that's out there. Oh, well, we need to get against the cops. Well, fine. If you don't like the cops, that's great. Nobody's telling you have to like them. And then let's talk about this for just a second. It's the last thing I've got tonight. The Black Lives Matter movement is a racist movement. And here's why. Because it's singling out one race. If we had White Lives Matter as a group, it would be called racist. Do we need a White Lives Matter group? I don't know. Probably not. But Black Lives Matter, yeah. So do white lives. So do Asian lives. So do Middle Eastern lives. So do Antarctican lives. So do Australian lives. Russian lives. Mexican lives. Canadian lives even. I hate to say that. Right, you Canucks? All lives do matter. Okay? So, saying that Black Lives Matter and saying that there's so much inequality. By the way, where is Colin Kaepernick all of a sudden? He's kind of shut up again, but I think he's been knocked down so hard from the George Floyd one. You know, especially with all these stars and everything, talking about inequality and how their race is being put down and all this thing. I mean, Oprah Winfrey, for one, was one of them. She's nuts. Oprah Winfrey is a millionaire, claims about income inequality, racial injustice, even though something, I forget what the whole thing is. And then, you know, she's a spokesperson for Weight Watchers, but she's a fat ass. That doesn't make any sense. But I mean, you've got all these sports figures and authorities out there, shall we say, that are talking all this big game, Colin Kaepernick being one of them. It's like, dude, you were raised with a silver spoon in your mouth. Where can you come up with inequality? You never had to live a day on the fucking streets like some of your counterparts, by the way. And I still swear to God that dude has got more Middle Eastern blood in him than he does African American. But anyway. But let's remember that all these stars that are out there talking about it, yeah, they're coming out as spokespersons for these causes, but most of them, they're not getting any inequality. You want inequality, look at the NBA. They're hiring nothing but black guys because they're all taller and they're great athletes at playing basketball. White guys can't jump, so to speak, you know? So should we be having a problem with the NBA because there's a majority more black players? I mean, same thing with football. And then again, why are all the quarterbacks in football white? Why don't we have more black quarterbacks? Well, don't know. Probably because there's different skill sets, maybe, shall we say. I don't know. I realize how that kind of sounded, but don't take it that way. But all the sports associations, now I haven't seen it so much in the baseball, but I don't watch much baseball. But here's the thing. Black Lives Matter has become such a big deal that now it's on NBA basketball courts. They've got it inlaid on the floor. The NHL is not focusing on it so much. They've got a little banner up that says, we skate for equality. They did at one point during the Stanley Cup playoffs have on the half boards, on the dashers, where the advertisements go, they did have a Black Lives Matter thing out there at one point. I think they took it down, and then they changed it to a banner that was up more somewhere else that says, we skate for equality. You know, you got that. It'll be interesting to see what the NFL does. But why are we singling out just black people in the sports arenas now? Okay, that's what makes it racist, is because now you're focusing on just one group of people. That is a racist thing. If you're focusing on just one and supporting one and not both or all, excuse me, that's racist. I know it's not meant to be racist, and I know it's more to be more aware of things that are going on inequality-wise. But you've got to get through the misinformation of it's a great thing. It's not a great thing when everybody is just like, Black Lives Matter and Black Lives are No, we've been through this. And I wonder if I still have this graphic up here when we talked about this before. Is that, believe it or not, there are more. Let's see if I can find this one. Yeah, I don't have it in full. Do I have it in full screen? I might have it in full screen on here still. No, it looks like we took it off of there, but we'll just lay this up over here. This is the number of well, you guys won't be able to see it, so I'm not going to put it up there anyway. I can put it up there. This was a graph that actually shows number of deaths from police officers as to whether they're, well, that's a picture of the news. Number of police deaths, what is it? Deaths resulting from police by race or whatever. Look at these numbers. Look at this big one right here. All right, the one on the on your right, I guess. That's white people. I believe. Or is that a year? I don't remember. But more white people die in police custody than do black people. Believe it or not. So this inequality thing of all the cops are just picking on the black people and they're only killing the black people, it's not true. The media is focusing on this because this is an important thing for the racial inequality that everybody thinks exists. You live in the United States. We're all given the same opportunities some way, somehow. You may have a demographic holdback some way, somehow, or whatever it could be, but we've moved beyond everything, okay? Slavery, all that happened many, many years ago. If you're going to blame me for it, let's say you want to, but you want to come at me and say, well, your ancestors, they owned slaves. And no, my ancestors actually lived in Germany, so they had nothing to do with that. So that doesn't make me a bad person that has anything to do with that, okay? That was hundreds of years ago. Let's get over it. Get past it. We've moved on. I mean, and I know it's been, about 100 years ago. We still had horrible problems regarding, racism in the United States, and it wasn't until, even pretty much till the 70s, till it started evening out, really. I mean, we had our biggest things with, Martin Luther King and Rosa Parks and all that. Those were important times, important things. No more segregation. Okay, we've moved on. It's been almost 100 years. Now it's just everybody wants it to be built into their head so that they have someone else to blame for it. And police shoot people. They don't just shoot black people. I've got the stats for you, people. They shoot Mexicans. They shoot Asians. And they shoot whites more than they shoot blacks. Or death, or they die in police custody. So it's not, it's not about the police picking on black people. I promise you. The stats are there. You're just seeing the one thing that they put out there this week. Because, this just happened because somebody filmed it on their phone. And it was another black guy. Yeah, well, nobody's filming the white guy that got shot, 2 days ago, too. Or the other 3 white guys that got shot. Or the Mexican who got shot. Okay? But they don't get any time. You guys have got to kind of even everything up a little bit, okay? I implore you to also remember, stop the rioting, because all you're going to do is economically destroy your cities. Your city will not come back to what it was. I mean, Minneapolis is going to be fucked for a long time. And now with what's going on in Wisconsin, and here's the other thing. And I've been seeing this on Facebook all the time. Here's the thing. Quit streaming the riots. All you're doing is putting it, look, they're rioting, and people will cheer for it. No, we don't want them to cheer for it. We want the rioting to stop, and let's go find a better solution instead of destroying everything. Because at this point, we might as well just drop a nuclear bomb on the United States. Just detonate all of ours in the missile silos. And let's just be done with it. Because that's where we're going now. The more you guys are out there streaming live the riots, and especially with these multicam streams that are going on of everything that look like Zoom meetings, stop. We know it's rioting. We don't need, and people stop watching it too. You don't need to be watching it. The more you watch it, the more you're supporting it, the more they'll start doing it, and then the more your town is going to get destroyed. Support the movements to a point. But remember, everything matters. It's not just the black lives. It's not just the white lives. It's not just the police. It's everybody. We're all on this earth. We're all here. And eventually, we're all going to end up in the same place. It would just be nice if we could all live a full, healthy, peaceful life again. But now we're basically in the middle of a civil war with ourselves, which has all started, and quite honestly, I think a lot more of this rioting wouldn't be as bad if we didn't have this pandemic bunch of bullshit. Because a lot of the rioting, I think, was just people wanted to have an excuse to get the fuck out of their house, because the first riots started while everybody was still under stay-at-home orders. So keep that in mind. Are they rioting for a cause? Or are they just out there to cause riffraff and see how much shit they can steal? Destroying property that has nothing to do, like blowing up 50 cars or whatever the fuck it was at a car lot. What the hell is that solving? Nothing. You've broken the law by destroying private property that has nothing to do with the people who shot the guy. Go to the police departments, go to the state, but don't start graffitiing everything and destroying all of it. Go there, march there, quietly do it. Let them hear your voices. Let them see how mad you are, but don't let them see how mad you are by destroying shit. That's not going to get you anywhere. All that's going to get you is killed, possibly. Then you'll get shot, possibly. You'll destroy your town. You should go to jail because you're breaking the law. We do not need to become a lawless society. And the more you guys continue to do this, the stupider you make us look too. And by the way, here's the other thing that I need to bring up as well is about the instigators. Remember this. The George Floyd thing, somehow in England, in the UK, they were rioting over George Floyd. The UK has nothing to do with it. So I guarantee you, we've got a bunch of rioters out there. And a lot of these people who are also supporting Black Lives Matter, they're not really supporting Black Lives Matter to the letter, shall we say, because Black Lives Matter people are actually even hurting black people. There's been videos of it. You've got to see them. They're look them up on YouTube. I can't show them here on the show, of course, because then they give us a strike.
Oh, it's false information. It shut you down, little bastard.
So keep that in mind, guys. If you have people out there rioting, or you are a rioter, stop. Get these guys to stop, because we're going to be in an economic fuck up anyway. So let's not fuck it up any worse. Do something constructive with it. And that's about all I have to say on that. I think. I don't know. We'll see about Thursday night. Maybe something new will happen. Will somebody please tell Anderson Cooper to quit wearing glasses? Tell him to get contacts. He looks like shit with those fucking glasses on. But then again, I don't want to see his beady little eyes staring at the camera anymore either. Anyway. Oh, good God. All right, everybody. So that's a wrap for tonight. I want to remind everybody, don't forget to do what? Well, the first thing you want to do is not that, because we don't do the trivia anymore. We need to do that. So let's bring that up. Whoop. Let me slide out. Don't forget to get your FreakChild coffee mugs over at the FreakChild Radio website. FreakChildRadio.com, $15 a piece. So drink coffee like a freak. Over at FreakChildRadio.com is where you guys can pick those up. Also, don't forget to follow us on Twitter and like us on Facebook. Like us on Facebook would be a lot better of an idea. So get to Facebook.com/FreakChildRadio, or look up FreakChild Experience on Facebook, or however you want to do it. But the actual address is Facebook.com/FreakChildRadio. You can follow us on Twitter. The Twitter feed is just a mirror feed of the Facebook feed, so we don't really do much on Twitter. But it does go out there for anybody who is bigger on being a Twitter user. So we are out there. That one's FreakChild Show. So follow us there. Like us on Facebook would be the best bet, because that's where you're going to get most of your information, and first-hand information, shall we say, as well as knowing when the next show is going to be broadcast as well. So there's that. Don't forget to support us on Patreon if you want. There's the thing. It is patreon.com/FreakChild Experience. We haven't even visited anything on that during the summer, so we'll see what goes on out there. If you do support us on Patreon, we'll send you a coffee mug, and then you won't have to buy one on the line or on the website. So you always have that option as well. So there you go. Don't forget to mark on your calendars also for good old November 3rd at 7 p.m. It's Freakscision 2020 over on kfrkdenver.com. We'll see where exactly all we're going to stream that live. It probably will be on Facebook. It probably will be on YouTube as well. But the easiest place to find it will be, of course, at kfrkdenver.com. And make sure to like the Facebook page for more updates on Freakscision 2020. And if you want to be on the panel for that, you can always contact us through the contact page on the website. Or direct message us on Facebook as well. And we'll give you all as we get closer. And we're getting close now. Well, I guess we're not that close. Got about 2 months, a little over 2 months. But it's getting there. We're getting close. But it should be a fun night, and we'll see what happens with all that rigmarole of the good old, whatever you want to call it. So there you are. What else do we got? We're back Thursday night. Don't forget to send in your pictures for Picture of the News. Basically, any random picture you want to send to us, direct message it to us on Facebook. Or email it to us on the contact page at freakchildradio.com. And we make up really crazy-ass news stories about random pictures. It sounds like real news, but it's all bullshit. Actually, if you check out the show from July 2nd, I think was the last Picture of the News we did. So if you want to see that, how that works, you can do that. What else do we got? Oh, by the way, Fort Brighton, the train did move out, but all the railroad crossing things are still all fucked up. So keep that in mind if you're going out. Brightonians. I think that's what they call it. I don't know. There we go. KFRKdenver.com, streaming live 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. All styles of music on there as well. So there you go. I think that's a wrap for tonight, guys. So thank you, everybody, for tuning in, and we will see you on Thursday night. Have a good night. We're out.